1.4. The crew is restless. After spending too many months piecing our ship back together, we're finally about to venture out on a new mission. And the crew isn't letting this unprecedented ion storm slow them down. They're ready for something different. I know I am. Perhaps more than any of them. Fortunately, nothing ever stays the same. It's entropy, the nature of the universe. Change is inevitable. And while entropy says order gives way to chaos, in this case, change is good. Our new first officer is en route to the Resolute. Jara Rydek. I know she'll bring a welcome dose of new blood to the crew.
Thanks.
No problem.
I'm not great with flying. But these little shuttles are the worst.
Here's a tip. Don't close your eyes. You'd think that would make it easier, but it only makes it worse. Look out the window, pick a star, and just focus on that.
I'll give it a try. Sorry, I'm a little anxious.
I hadn't noticed.
I'm on my way to my first assignment. When we get to the starbase, I'm transferring on to the Resolute.
So am I.
It won't be easy for Jara to step in at the 11th hour like this. But if she's half the officer I knew she could become when she was a cadet at Starfleet Academy, she'll be the XO this ship needs right now.
A starbase on the very edge of Federation space. Long way from home now.
Commander? I'm not usually such a nervous wreck, by the way. I actually did well at the Academy.
Oh yeah?
Maybe you've heard of the Torvalin test?
Sounds familiar.
It's a tactical simulator that makes the Kobayashi Maru look like a picnic on Pintaris 5. Anyway, I finished in the top 20. Not just in my class. I mean, all time. In the history of the Academy.
Really? That's quite impressive.
Thank you. It was tough. But you know, I set my mind to it and it paid off.
Please place your hand here. Hold it there for a few seconds. Welcome, Commander Rydek.
Wait, you're Jara Rydek? You absolutely crushed the Torvalin test. You finished in what, like the top 3?
That would be me.
Now I'm really... It's an honor to meet you, Commander. Sorry, I didn't realize before. I just came off the shuttle and was glad to be on solid ground.
The pleasure's mine, Ensign.
Paul Calloway.
Good to meet you.
I believe Commander Ermont is expecting you. He's in the concourse just ahead.
See you on the Resolute.
Good day, Commander.
If I remember my briefing, Commander Ermont is a Bolian, so I'm looking for someone with blue skin. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm just... Well, I'm not sure where my departure dock is. The Resolute's gonna leave without me.
Look here. The Resolute is leaving from this dock.
Oh, you're right. Nerves must be getting to me. Thanks so much, Commander.
Not until I find Commander Ermont.
Well, there he is.
Starbase 128 has 4 docks. Excuse me, have you seen a Bolian around here?
Yes, sir. Right back there, near the replicator.
Ah, there he is.
Thank you very much.
Happy to help, Commander.
I'll replicate myself a meal once I'm on board. Excuse me.
Welcome to the edge of the galaxy, Commander Rydek. I'm Commander Jan Ermont, Operations Officer on the Resolute. Commander? I hope there wasn't too much trouble getting here. This storm isn't making anything easy for us right now.
It was a bit bumpy, but otherwise okay.
My apologies. This storm is unlike anything I've seen before. We're grateful you were able to come fill our first officer vacancy at such short notice. From everything I've read and everything I've heard, we're lucky you were available to us. Coming from a premier starship and all. To our little research vessel.
What exactly have you heard about me?
First in your class at the Academy. Received the Starfleet Award of Valor during the Dominion War. Most recently, Tactical Officer and Chief of Security on the USS Endeavor.
You've done your homework.
Like I said, we're very lucky. The USS Resolute. She may not look like much compared to the bigger ships, but as far as science vessels go, she can more than hold her own. And she doesn't look so bad considering 6 months ago she was nearly cracked in half venting plasma fighting for her life.
It was an accident?
The equipment malfunction. An accident suggests fault, but no one's to blame. It was a planned test, but the warp core was pushed beyond its limits. It destabilized the dilithium, there was a runaway reaction, and the warp bubble deformed. We thought we could reach a higher resonant frequency, but It was more than she could handle. Cost us our first officer and 22 of our crew. At the end of the day, we're all responsible for each other.
I can't even begin to imagine what that must have been like for you. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. It does weigh heavy. There are some things you can't forget.
It's been 6 months. What's the attitude among the crew now?
Unsettled. But I hope that a new mission will help them move forward. If not, move on. Listen. I realize you've known Captain Solano for quite some time, and I'm sure you're ready to bring your best. But I should warn you that when the captain announced you would be the new first officer, there were those who felt it was a mistake, that he should have promoted from within. So you might want to tread lightly at first. Until they come to value your contributions as much as he does.
Thank you. Always good to have a sense for what you're walking into.
I just thought you ought to know.
I appreciate it.
Starfleet has assigned us a high-priority mission to the Hotari region. Let the captain brief you on board. I know he's eager to see you.
Will we be mission ready in time?
We have every intention. The crew has been working around the clock to get the ship ready. There's still so much to do.
Stuck. I got just the thing. That.
Sorry. I like Lower Decks TV show.
I thought the thing was totally fried.
And another thrill.
Nice work, Carter.
Nothing to it, Neely.
And not a moment too soon. The boss wants us down in engineering. Like, now.
Everything okay?
I dropped a non-ferrous connector between the coils. Gonna have to remove a few of them to find it, and then...
Whew, then another hour of recalibrating. Ouch. I'll leave you to it.
Come on!
Oh. Oh, these are heavier than they look. Makes more sense than zero G.
Carter Diaz!
You're welcome.
Hey, Diaz, can you give us some help with the transporter?
What's the problem?
We need to test this cargo
Hurry up.
transporter. I've never been that great with the signal plotting.
I got it. No problem.
Time's a-wasting.
No sweat. Whoa, hey, buddy, get off the pad! Don't tell Chovak.
Not a word.
That's not where that goes. Maybe we can figure out where you're supposed to be.
Hey Diaz, have you seen a hyperspanner around here? Oh, hey, there it is. You're a lifesaver, Diaz.
Well, I don't know about that, but I try. A place for everything, and everything in its place. Someone gonna fix that? Engineering.
I heard the new XO just arrived. Won't be long before we get underway. I just hope whatever Chovak called us down for, it's something good. I can never tell with him. I'd rather not end up degaussing plasma manifolds. Hanging upside down makes me queasy.
You and me working together, we can tackle anything he throws at us.
Your optimism is positively contagious. Looks like we got here before.
Lieutenant Commander Chovak.
We were just looking for you, Commander.
Petty Officers Ed Solar, Diaz. I was beginning to think you would be late. We are all hands on deck right now, which means if you are not at your post at the appointed time, I do not have someone to replace you. A point I have been forced to make to Petty Officer Ed Solar on repeated occasions.
Well, Commander Chovak, isn't it true that if we were almost late, it categorically means that we were not late?
That is correct, Mr. Diaz.
I mean, if anything, Ed Solar and I are following the schedule to the letter.
Yes. Perhaps I should adjust the schedule accordingly.
So, I don't suppose you wanted us down here to check in before we go off duty?
Equip yourselves in EV suits to work on the exterior of the hull. I need you to tune the structural
Yes!
field for optimal performance. The subspace
Sorry
distortions
about
and
that.
ionic interference we are experiencing are preventing the proper calibration. But this ship must be ready to depart shortly, despite the storm. The precise nature of these disturbances are not fully understood. but many systems have been affected by the wide band of emissive activity.
Whatever it throws at us, we'll be ready. We've got the best chief engineer in the fleet.
I am a Vulcan, Mr. Diaz. Flattery is not necessary. All that I require is that you do your job. Right now, that entails critical preparations, because long-range sensors show that these disturbances will be more severe at our destination, the Hotari system. You have your orders. Do not delay.
Yes,
Roger
Commander
that.
Chovak. All hands on deck.
Oh, what's that?
All hands on deck. That's what Chovak said. You know what that means? It means this ship isn't ready to go out, and the brass know it. So they're throwing every warm body at it. And they're going to leave on schedule. Consequences be damned.
It all comes down to us, Nelly. We're the ones who will get it ready.
I know what we can do. But this isn't just any old refit or any old relaunch.
Oh, whoa.
Excuse me.
A lot of new faces.
Oh,
coming on board.
yes!
It's gotta be tough coming as a replacement. That's for sure.
They seem all right. Something that happened 6 months ago while they were off on another ship? Well, that's nothing to hold against them.
Yeah, you're right. I guess getting a little new blood on board doesn't hurt. Hold on. Now there's an old face I didn't expect to see again. Hey, Miranda!
You weren't gonna leave without me, were you?
Miranda, you're here?
We thought you were staying on the Adirondack.
Transfer came in at the last minute, so I figured I'd slum it on this bucket of bolts. Looks like you got her back together pretty nicely. I wasn't sure what to expect.
I'm gonna take the high road here, pretend you didn't say that, and welcome you aboard.
He's a better diplomat than I am.
He still owes me a bottle of Saurian brandy. Don't think I forgot.
Oh yeah, it's coming back to me now.
Maybe Carter can rustle up that bottle and we can give you a proper welcome. As soon as we wrap up this quick little spacewalk.
Here, let me help you.
Thanks.
So what's the word? Are you back in the security rotation?
Yep. Still running with the usual suspects.
Whoa.
Good to go.
And now hopefully there's no Borg that can turn me on the outside of the vessel.
See you on the other side.
Yep, see you on the flip side, girl.
Activating magnetic souls.
Oh, I would give my left hand to be able to do this. In real life, of course.
That view never gets old.
Let's go.
Is that an Akira class ship? A vessel, sorry. Bonjour.
Captain Solano should be here momentarily. You'll have to forgive me, I don't know much about Kobleods. But my understanding is you need a steady supply of duridium to keep your cell structure stabilized, or bad things start to happen. And we have plenty of duridium in sick bay, so there's no risk of running out.
Thank you.
Feel free to make yourself at home. And help yourself to whatever you like from the replicator.
Now let's see if they have a wrecked Gino.
He's still got a thing for trains. The warp engines of their day, apparently. I can't believe he keeps this around. Don't even know where mine is. The first mineral Captain Solano ever discovered. Always was the nostalgic type. Can't wait to plot a course myself. Just a sip of something. Rack the Gino.
Could it be anything else?
That sure has a kick.
Jara Rydek. Last time I saw you, it was graduation from the Academy. You'd already secured one of the most prestigious assignments possible. And you were burning with enough ambition to fuel 7 trips around the Necrid Expanse.
It's good to see you again, Captain.
I could not be happier to have you on the Resolute. The only regret is that we couldn't provide you with a warmer welcome. The arrival of a first officer to her new ship deserves a bit of fanfare. But, unfortunately, we've had our hands full with the refit.
That would be totally unnecessary. I don't need any pomp and circumstance.
You've been here all of 5 minutes, and already you're trying to make us more efficient. I like it. As I'm sure you've heard, we've had a rough go of it these last 6 months. The ship suffered some damage, but not nearly as much as the crew.
You'll have to forgive me. I don't really know the details.
Starfleet has been kind enough to keep the story contained. Probably because they want to protect me. But I don't mind telling you. We were on the verge of a major scientific breakthrough. A quantum leap forward in warp core technology. 10,000 teradynes per second. The ability to travel at a sustained rate of speed longer and faster than we ever dreamed. What would have been the crowning achievement of my career. Right there. Within our grasp. Until it all went so horribly wrong. We pushed her too hard, and a warp core malfunction overloaded the system, creating a pressure gradient way beyond what the ship could handle. It was heartbreaking. We lost some of our best people. As captain, I have to take full responsibility. It was my decision to make, and I have to live with the consequences.
You're being too hard on yourself. It wasn't your fault.
It's not a question of blame. It's about responsibility. No matter what the circumstances. In my defense, I will say, I might have avoided the whole ordeal if my senior staff had been willing to trust me. There was a lot of pushback from my former XO. And I think that cost me his confidence.
Sounds like mutiny.
I don't want you to pull any punches. Certainly not on my account. But once we decide on a course of action, I need everyone to fully commit to the mission. Anything short of that, just won't work. And that's when things start to go sideways.
This is your ship, and you are the captain. So as far as I'm concerned, whatever you say, goes.
That's the kind of support I'm looking for. Look, I'll be blunt. We can't afford another mistake. Or at least, I can't. I feel like my career is hanging in the balance here. We need a win. Something to restore the crew's confidence.
I understand.
On a more positive note, Starfleet has tasked us with what they're calling a mission of the highest priority. Escorting a senior diplomat to Hotari space. Two previously peaceful and otherwise non-aggressive civilizations now find themselves on the brink of all-out war.
So it's a peacekeeping mission.
I see it as a golden opportunity to not only prove what the Resolute and her crew are truly capable of, but also a mission for which we're uniquely qualified. This ionic storm. Our long-range sensors suggest it's several orders of magnitude stronger than anything on record. A total anomaly like nothing we've seen before. And you'll never guess where it leads.
Hotari.
Exactly. Very nearly in the precise location where we're headed. Where I imagine the interference will be exponentially greater. But the diplomat will brief us on the details at the rendezvous.
So basically, we're being sent into the eye of a storm, more powerful than anything on record.
Well, yes. But we're taking every precaution. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I expect we'll have some rough sledding when we arrive, so I need you to prepare the crew for the worst. There's just one more thing I want to clarify up front. The metric that for me will be the ultimate measure of your success.
What is it?
If after serving as my first officer, you don't one day find yourself with a ship of your own, then I will consider it my personal failure. When that might happen is entirely up to you. But it goes without saying, you have my full support.
Hopefully that day comes sooner rather than later.
Pace yourself. Like I said, when it happens is entirely up to you. But first, you have to be willing to put in the work.
Of course.
Come. Let me introduce you to the crew.
Always keep them guessing. Now these are the kind of games of Star Trek that I like. One from Voyager, Elite Force, this one, Armada.
Everyone, if I could have your attention for a moment. I'd like to introduce Commander Jara Rydek, our new first officer. Some quick introductions. This is Lieutenant Handar, our helmsman, one of the best in the business.
One of?
Bajoran.
He lacks in humility. He more than makes up for in ability.
A pleasure to meet you, Commander.
Likewise.
Next, we have Commander Westbrook, our Chief Science Officer. I've come to rely on his expertise on a regular basis.
Pleasure.
Commander Rydek, it is such an honor to meet you.
This is our tactical
She as well.
Lieutenant Bedrosian, who's been looking forward to meeting you for about as long as I can remember.
I've been following your career for quite some time. And I look forward to learning as much as I can from you.
That's very kind of you to say. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I have to admit, one of the reasons I've followed your career is because you're part Kobliad, because of what you've overcome. Starfleet stands up for people who can't defend themselves, and you were one of those people once. But since then, you've done so much to protect others who need it. I really admire that. So, you've been something of an inspiration to me. Not that I've done anything close to what you've done, but you definitely set a standard to strive for.
That's very kind of you to say, but enough about me. We have a lot of work to do.
Oh, yes, of course.
And then, of course, you've already met Commander Ermont. Please, do everything
Ah,
you
of course, I
can
know
to
the
make Commander
Berlian.
Rydek feel at home here. I'll be on the starbase. I have an urgent meeting with the starbase commander to get our authorization to get underway. If they drag their feet any longer, the bridge is yours.
Thank you. Ooh, in the captain's chair. But first, look around and talk to some people.
Operations. Staffing, supplies. There's a lot to keep track of on a starship. Good thing we have Commander Ermont. The helm. The Resolute is a refitted Centaur class, meaning it's capable of quick maneuvers. Can't wait to see what she can do. Impressive range of view.
Very impressive.
Science station. The Resolute is a science vessel, primarily. Might explain Commander Westbrook's attitude. I'll have to speak with him later. So many decks. Full of crew that are now my responsibility. Tactical station. Hopefully a diplomatic mission won't require we use our weapons much. But if it comes to that...
Better safe than sorry.
Communications. Keeps us in contact internally and with other vessels. Turbolift could take me anywhere on the ship, but I'm right where I need to be. Tactical hollow dais. Just like they've got on the Excelsior.
Wow.
The first officer's seat. My seat. Right now, though, I need to fill in for Captain Solano.
You're right on. The seat next to it. And away. Take a seat, ma'am.
Commander, Chief Engineer Chovak needs to lower the structural integrity field. He's sent a crew out to recalibrate the emitters in response to the danger posed by the storm. We just need your go-ahead.
Permission granted.
Lowering structural integrity field, now.
Entering maintenance mode. Condition blue.
The storm is getting worse.
Looks like they turned off the SIF.
Great. Let's get to that emitter.
Yeah, we're walking. There she was, just a walking on the
I
hull.
expect to see her in pieces again.
She's still got some scars on her. It adds character.
When I joined Starfleet, all I wanted was a ride out of town. But this isn't exactly how I pictured it.
On the outside of the ship?
No. Sometimes it feels like we're just part of the machinery.
You are?
That? I mean, Starfleet is noble and all, but it's still a machine. A massive, massive machine.
Yeah, of course I do. Starfleet's an open door. We just have to walk through it. You wanted to get away. I enlisted because I didn't want to wait years just to get out and see the galaxy. I wanted to go somewhere. See new worlds. Look up at a sky no one's ever seen before. Just because I'm cranking a hyperspanner up in a Jeffries tube today doesn't mean that's all I'll ever be. Diaz to Commander Chovak. We are at the Sif emitter.
Acknowledged. You may proceed with the recalibration.
Beginning recalibration. Looks good. That wasn't so hard.
Okay. Then why is it blinking red?
Commander Westbrook, right? Chief Science Officer.
You remembered my name and my rank. Impressive. Yes, I'm the Chief Science Officer. And I have the dubious honor of being the most senior officer on this bridge. I know this ship inside and out. Better than just about anyone.
What a very impressive list of credentials.
This is a research and discovery ship, first and foremost. Now with a former tactical officer as its new first officer. I'm curious, though. A Kobliad, or half in your case, is an odd choice for first officer, given your vulnerable condition and all. But if, as an example, we found ourselves in a hostile situation, and you were suddenly incapacitated because you needed an infusion, what would happen then? You'd leave Captain Solano without an XO. Granted, that would be a worst-case scenario, but not outside the realm of possibility.
Like I said, in my entire career, it's never been an issue, or caused this, and I don't expect this to be any different.
I was just curious, that's all. Listen, can I be blunt, Commander?
I see no reason to stop now.
Commander Sutherland, your predecessor, was one of the best first officers in all of Starfleet. His record was impeccable and his reputation was without equal. I mean no disrespect, but the shoes you're stepping into are almost
We sure about that?
He was loved by the crew. And he was one of my closest friends. So I can only hope that you'll live up to expectations.
I don't think I could ever replace Commander Sutherland. And it would be a mistake to even try.
Seeing as Captain Solano is on the starbase, let me give you an update on this ion storm we're flying into. It's unusual, unlike anything I've ever seen. At the moment, I can't tell you if the Resolute will shrug it off or if we're putting ourselves at risk. However, if we learn more about its patterns, its nature, we can come up with a scientific countermeasure. Just a moment.
Captain, back to the ship.
Wave inbound, on screen.
Everybody inside.
Tracing its trajectory. Starbase docking clamps are holding.
The storm's emissions are fluctuating, coming in waves. And if my projections are right, we're about to get hit by a wideband burst of ionic energy. Like a tsunami.
I'm reading power abnormal.
Red alert!
Aye. Evacuating main gangway and retracting. Putting
Yeah,
sensor
you
visualization on screen.
do remember that two people on the outside, do you?
Can't take a direct hit.
Time to impact. 1 minute.
Shield systems are severely impacted. We have limited protection.
I need every available solution. What are our options?
We can weaken the impact of the storm with a deflector pulse.
Wait, there's a...
I'm sending all auxiliary power to the deflector dish.
Send the aux power to the shields. We can't reactivate the entire shield bubble, but it's a directional threat. So we can orient all we have towards the wave. You have to believe me.
We only get one shot at this. We can't afford to get it wrong.
That's right, which is why we need to send power to our shields.
Commander Westbrook, use the deflector dish.
Already working on it. Optimal timing displayed. It's going to be tight.
Good. Send the pulse on my command. Now!
No, that was too early, Whip!
Wow. Bloody hell. Let's retry this.
Commander Westbrook, use the deflector dish.
Already working on it. Optimal timing displayed. It's going to be tight.
Good. Send the pulse on my command. Now!
We got it! This is it!
All hands, brace for impact.
This radiation supercharged the plasma, forcing it to backflush through the system and creating a dangerous imbalance.
Blow out every primary system on the ship.
Just tell us where you need us.
I need you to traverse the hull to the access port to recalibrate the port nacelle plasma regulator.
On our way, sir.
We've reached the first access point.
Understood. Do you see the override for the level 1 failsafe circuits?
Affirmative.
Engage the override. It should allow us to stop the EPS flow to the warp engine without triggering an automatic core shutdown.
Failsafe override engaged.
Are you sure? I am registering some crosstalk in the bypass circuit.
We need to route the signals so they don't interfere with each other.
Diaz to Resolute. The failsafes are temporarily disabled. Moving on to the EPS regulator.
Heads up, Carter.
What is that?
One of the discharges coalesced.
It's coming right toward us. I'm gonna try to disrupt it with my phaser.
So we gotta climb up the pylon. Not that there's really an up, but, you know.
most of it. Just snuck up on him.
That damaged your suit. Energy dampening is down to 60%. We're almost to the regulator.
At the regulator. Opening the access panel.
And now halting the EPS flow to the port nacelle. We have little time before it causes an overload in the engine. You must work efficiently.
EPS manifold adjusters reset to neutral. EPS lines to the port warp engine are back in balance. Almost done. Once I cycle the manifold nozzles, Chovak.
Of course. Wow. That's not gonna stop anytime soon.
Docking clamp. We've got a lot of debris coming down. Hull vibrations, too. We can't finish the EPS regulation in these conditions. Please advise.
We have to release the ship from that other docking clamp or the hull will be ripped apart.
There's a problem. The clamps are supposed to disengage automatically in an emergency, but it's not working.
Not working?
What are our options?
The docking clamps are fitted with exploding bolts for an emergency release.
We've got crew out there. That'd be like setting off a bomb next to them.
Maybe there's another way.
Starbase is hailing us. Put him through.
Resolute, the remaining mooring arm is failing. You need to disengage from the starbase now. The damage to the station will be catastrophic.
The docking clamp isn't functioning. We're exploring our options.
The option is to detonate the emergency release.
Commander, hear me. Reverse the polarity of the hull, which theoretically will repel the docking clamps.
And repel the engineering crew right off the hull into the storm.
This is Captain Solano. Put me on screen.
Go ahead. Captain, we have a situation.
Commander, what are you doing? This isn't your call to make. Blow the...
The captain doesn't know the whole story.
I'm giving you an order. Jara?
Captain, you brought me here because you trusted me. Can you trust me now?
You better be sure you make the right decision.
The captain made himself quite clear.
They're gonna get hammered with debris out there. Reverse the polarity.
There is protocol.
And there are lives.
Starbase, stand by. We're gonna flip hull polarity to disengage the clamps.
Yes, Commander.
Repair crew, this is Acting Captain Jara Rydek. Repair crew, this is Acting Captain Jara Rydek. Be advised, we are... Tether yourself and deactivate your boots on my mark.
Understood.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark!
Grab my hand! I got you.
Thank you.
Plasma imbalance is reaching critical condition. We are moments from primary system failure.
I got it. Hurt and unconscious. I'm gonna have to tow her back to the airlock.
Mr. Diaz, the situation has changed. Mr. Diaz, the situation has changed. It has come to my attention that you are at risk of triggering a
Commander, the way we came is the nearest airlock.
There is an auxiliary hatch near you on the far end of the pylon. You must bring Miss Edsolar there to access the interior.
Roger that. Going there now.
Nobody said it was safe.
I'm at the auxiliary hatch.
You go first.
What?
Let me save your neck this time. No time to fight me on this. Get in there!
You better be right behind me.
Yep, sure, you got this. Edsolar went into the hatch last and was injured.
We're in.
They're safe, bringing the SIF fully online.
Do it.
Carter!
I'm okay. But Edsolar...
Here, let me help you.
Nice battle scar.
I've got one wounded at my location. Millie.
Oh, man.
We'll see you at sickbay.
Status report.
The repair crew made it inside. EPS flow is back to nominal levels. The SIF is back up.
How does this affect mission readiness, Mr. Ermot?
Releasing the docking clamps using hull polarity minimized damage to the Resolute. We'll have some last-minute repairs to make, but if we reapportion some of the staff, we can make our departure on time. As of now, however, we are successfully moored to the station.
Good to hear. Send updates to my ready room. Commander Rydek, with me. You disobeyed my orders. Well?
Respectfully, Captain, I made the right choice given the information I had.
You disobeyed my orders! And not just in front of the bridge crew, but the Starbase staff as well. That's going to get around. My name's already tarnished around the fleet. But what is it going to do to my credibility on this ship? From the top to the bottom. Bridge to lower decks.
Maybe I shouldn't have disobeyed a direct order, but you were wrong. You weren't on board, and you didn't have all the information. So I made the right decision for the ship. If you're worried about your credibility, put your ego aside and trust your crew. Trust me.
You might have won some fans on the bridge with that stunt, but not everyone. Lieutenant Commander Chovak has already bent my ear.
I'm sure he doesn't take it personally. He'll get over it in time.
Mr. Chovak is more complicated than he would want to admit. I guess we all are. And, if I'm being honest, I'm not sure what I would have done in the moment either. You never really know if you weren't in those shoes. So, let's just boil it down to you did what you had to. That'll have to be good enough for me.
Thank you for understanding, sir. I'm sure no one knows the burden of command as well as you do.
I'm sure you will, someday. Despite it all, we got our final Starfleet clearance to depart. So if you'll fetch Mr. Ermot, we'll knock out the final details of any outstanding repairs, and we'll set out...
Make it so.
Yes, sir.
Let's get out there. Punch it. Or will it be... And the stars to fly by. Yeah, sailor by, but in this case, fly by.
All departments reporting full mission readiness. All departments reporting full mission readiness.
This is my favorite moment, right now.
The start of a new mission is always full of possibility.
The Orion Syndicate could sell it as a drug.
Don't let the Admiralty hear you say that.
Captain on the bridge.
Sit. Sit, everyone. You all know, I'm not big on speeches. We're embarking on the first mission since our refit. Let's make it a good one. Disengage docking clamps.
Docking clamps released.
Thrusters ahead, Mr. Handar. Do it. Set a course for the Hotari system. Prepare to go to Warp 8.
Aye, Captain.
You know what? You take this one.
Me? Engage.
Simple, but effective.
Whoa. Careful.
Thank you. I'm fine. Really,
You don't look fine.
I have to get to sickbay.
Go.
Commander, help me get her inside.
Well, that was quite a scare. A few minutes more and it would have been one of the shortest tenures on record for a first officer.
Is that the engineer that was out on the hull?
That storm did a real number on her, but she'll live. Just needs rest. You should worry about yourself. Your duridium levels got dangerously low and destabilized your cell structure.
This is definitely one of the more memorable first days I can think of.
My name is Dr. Aram Duval, Chief Medical Officer. To be honest, I've never met a Kobliad before. You're...
rare. I know.
I was going to say special. Your people's numbers have dwindled, despite the Federation's efforts to find a more readily available alternative to the duridium you need to survive. Yet you joined Starfleet, and managed to thrive. I imagine the responsibility must be overwhelming. Maybe even a burden at times.
I know what it means. And I know the responsibility that comes with it. But I can't be anything more than who I am. And if someone has a problem with that, or expects something else, then that's their problem, not mine.
That's exactly right. And don't worry, I won't treat you like a science experiment. I just do the science and leave the experiments to Solano.
You don't agree with his methods?
I don't agree with his definition of acceptable risks. Not when the lives of your crew are at stake. My professional opinion is that the accident took a toll. More than he's willing to admit. He's overstressed, operating in the pressure cooker of his own mind. Which is never a good headspace when the lives of your crew are at stake. What concerns me is that now he's even further away from the thing he's been chasing his entire career. The breakthrough discovery. The major innovation. Something he can put his name on. But the more the time passes and the further out of reach it gets, the more risk he'll be willing to take. People become blinded by their own ambition. I've seen it happen before.
I hear you. But that's my job, isn't it? To make sure that doesn't happen. And we don't lose sight of the bigger picture.
Which is exactly why I'm so glad you're here. We need you now more than ever. And I have to give you credit for what happened on the bridge. It took guts to defy a direct order.
Huh. I guess word travels fast around here.
It's a small ship. And everyone's curious about the new XO. Fortunately, your cell structure's almost completely stabilized. And I'll spare us both the lecture, but I do feel it's my responsibility to remind you, without regular infusions of duridium, you will not live. It's as simple as that.
Understood.
And my work here is done.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be lurking outside of sickbay. I didn't want to intrude, so it felt more appropriate to wait out here. We were all worried about you. Or I should say I was. I wasn't sure what was happening at first. But then I realized it was your condition.
I don't want anyone to worry about me. I'm gonna be just fine. This is part of who I am, but I've never let it define me.
I get that now. And I promise I'll try not to let being such a jerk define me either. You trusted my intuition earlier, with the deflector pulse. I felt I should thank you for that.
Well, thank you for coming. Even though you didn't have to.
I wanted to.
Complete the diagnostic sequence, and this shuttle will be cleared for service.
Yes, sir.
Storm in the Hotari region will interfere with our transporters, so we need all available shuttlecraft in working order.
Excuse me, Commander Chobok.
Petty Officer Maris, I will leave you to your work.
I stopped by sickbay and saw Nilly. I figured you'd want to know.
Did the doc get her fixed up?
She's stable. But there's something about the storm's radiation that's making it hard to heal the energy burns.
That doesn't sound good.
She's toughing it out. Dr. Duvall said she'll be back on duty soon, though.
Come on. I have to run the final diagnostic.
I can't stay long. I've got a long to-do list before we get to Hotari, and things are piling on faster than I can check them off. We're making all our last-minute checks in security, too. Tactical and security are short-staffed.
Now, we'll just have to take things as they come. Control what we can, and roll with the punches.
Next thing you're gonna tell me you're listening to Andorian jazz.
No.
The point is, the right time might never come. So, I'm just gonna roll with it. I had a chance to think about this while I was away. Then you and Nilly almost got killed out on the hull. And I thought it was important that I just come out and tell you. Instead of tiptoeing around it. Or worse.
Wait, are you angry at me or something?
Oh, no, not that. I'm sorry. I'm probably making too big of a deal here. What I'm trying to say is, we've been really good friends for a long time. But I got back here and I couldn't ignore it anymore. I want to see if there's more between us than just being friends.
Are you sure about this?
They're my feelings. Of course I'm sure. I know what I'm asking, which is why I'm being direct. I like you, Carter. And I think there could be something more for us. So, what do you say?
I think we should keep things the way they are. You're one of my best friends, and you mean so much to me, and I don't want to risk losing that. I really don't.
I understand. I just don't want this to be weird now. Nilly saw it coming. She said it might make things uncomfortable if I said something. And that's the last thing I want. You're important to me. If that wasn't obvious.
We're always going to be friends, Miranda. No matter what. Like those three musketeers.
Musketeers.
Yeah, see, you even know the stuff I don't.
And there were actually 4 of them.
What would I do without you?
Level 1 diagnostic complete.
I don't suppose we can forget this conversation happened. Just don't make too many jokes about it, okay?
Approaching the rendezvous point outside Atari space.
Helm, bring us out of warp.
Dropping to impulse.
Ionic interference surging, Captain.
Shield integrity holding. We can take it.
We are at the correct coordinates to meet the shuttle.
Commander Rydek, find us our diplomat, if you will.
Aye, Captain. Let's reduce the noise. Filter out environmental signals. I can manually tune what's left for Federation signal types. I've located the shuttle.
Opening comms.
On screen.
Shuttle to Resolute. Shuttle to Resolute. Debris field. Lost maneuvering. Losing.
I can't get it any clearer.
Is that Ashley?
We won't get a transporter lock. It's just not happening.
Power up the tractor beam. We'll pull them directly into the docking bay.
Diaz, you good to run the tractor emitter?
Yes, sir.
Come on, Diaz. First thing, lock onto the shuttle and stabilize the rotation. We're pulling in debris.
I'm on it.
It won't let me grab onto it.
That's gonna take out the shuttle. Diaz, the bridge. There's a large piece of debris headed for the shuttle. The tractor beam can't handle it.
Can our shields take it?
I believe so.
Commander Rydek, plot an intercept course.
On it. Here we go. Maneuvering thrusters bearing 53 Mark 17, 200 meters on an intercept course.
Maneuvering.
Got it.
Whoa! Someone's working hard on the bridge. Shuttlecraft on board.
Good job. We're on our way down to meet them.
If I'm not mistaken, she was a trail as well. Oh, damn!
Firma, so to speak.
Spock!
Ambassador Spock? The captain will be right down to meet you, sir.
In that case, I will wait for him here.
Well, let me be the first to say, welcome to the Resolute, Ambassador.
Thank you, Petty Officer...
Carter? Carter Diaz. Sir.
I am pleased to meet you, Petty Officer Carter Diaz. It appears I have you to thank for my safe arrival. Your assistance arrived not a moment too soon, if I may say so.
You're very welcome, sir. I'm glad we could get you here in one piece.
Indeed. We thought we were prepared for our arrival in Hotari space, but it is evident my craft was not sufficiently robust for such intense ionic activity.
The storm has been pretty intense.
There was an element that was most unusual. Before you came to our aid, our maneuvering thrusters and impulse engines were rendered inoperable. So we attempted a short traversal at warp speed, only to find that we could not achieve warp at all, even though our diagnostics computer showed no faults or anomalies. What do you make of that? When all indications say that warp speed is possible, but in practice, we find it is not.
I'd rather investigate than speculate.
A sound principle.
Take readings, run some additional diagnostic checks, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
Quite logical, Petty Officer Diaz. Thank you.
Ambassador Spock.
Excuse me.
I'm honored to have you aboard. I'd like to get right to it. We're already behind.
You should never let yourself get provoked just to do something you don't want to.
Ambassador Spock, my senior staff. It's not every day that a captain gets to welcome a Starfleet legend aboard.
You flatter me, Captain Solano. But legend implies the past tense, whereas I am very much focused on our present circumstances.
I didn't mean to suggest you were stuck in the past. You're right, Ambassador. Not the most diplomatic choice of words.
Your experience comes from the past, but our present situation calls for it.
True enough.
We were hoping you could fill us in on the details. We got the basics from Starfleet. Two formerly peaceful neighbors are now on the brink of war.
Indeed, and the tension between them grows fiercer by the hour. Elydia and Hotari. Elydians are the more advanced species. They made first contact with the Hotari over a century ago. This is Tau, the Hotari moon. It is rich in dilithium, and for decades, the Hotari and the Elydians have shared a mining operation there. The Elydians provide the technological resources, while the Hotari have served as the labor force. The stability of that arrangement was the source of their peace, until recently. The Hotari have suddenly and forcefully seized control of the mining operations and expelled the Elydians from their system. That is the official story, as told by the Hotari when they requested Federation mediation. But the details remain scant. Communications between all parties have been limited by the ionic interference.
Have the Elydians retaliated against the Hotari? Or taken any action against them?
Surprisingly, they have not yet responded in kind. They were open to a Federation presence, but it is unlikely the relatively primitive Hotari forces would stand a chance against the Elydian fleet in open war. Left unchecked, this conflict will result in more bloodshed, which is what we are here to prevent.
And the dilithium trade hangs in the balance.
Clearly, the Hotari have been exploited in this relationship.
Maybe we can persuade them peace is the more profitable alternative for everyone. They both profited from the mines. And for the Hotari, something is better than nothing. Peace is our objective, after all.
That is correct.
The Hotari just won their independence. It's hard to believe they would give that up just for profit.
I agree. It would be exceedingly difficult to bring the Hotari to that position.
Neither the Elydians or the Hotari are members of the Federation, so we can't make them do anything.
There is an additional complicating factor I should mention. In the past, the Federation has relied on the Elydians as a source of dilithium.
That certainly changes things.
Federation sources its dilithium from a lot of places.
Yeah, and this is one of them.
That means the Hotari have no reason to trust us.
I wouldn't go that far, Commander.
We are completely neutral in this matter, on neither one side nor the other. Any suggestion otherwise would compromise our position. Given the Federation's involvement in the Elydium dilithium trade, Captain Solano and I must make every effort to appear neutral in these negotiations.
What worries me is if this whole thing unravels, and we're at the mercy of the storm at less than full strength.
We can't let it come to that.
Considering what the Ion Storm has done to our ship, and the Ambassador's shuttle, we have to assume the Elydian fleet has had problems with it as well. This recent surge in the energy disturbance temporarily levels the playing field.
Commander Westbrook is correct. The energy anomalies around the Hotari systems have been noted in the past. But they have never been observed on the orders of magnitude we have seen in recent weeks.
That may answer why the Hotari were able to strike back after so long. They finally had an opportunity, and they took it.
That would also explain the Elydians' restraint.
And reason to learn as much about the energy anomaly as we can while we are here. We do not want to be caught at a disadvantage of our own. So I trust we understand our circumstances.
We're operating on a strict timetable here, and we're going to be leaving for the negotiations shortly. Commander Westbrook, I want you to leverage our systems to investigate the anomaly from here while we're gone.
Aye, Captain.
Thank you all.
Dismissed.
I want to speak to both of you privately.
Ambassador Spock, I'd like to make a formal introduction. My first officer, Commander Jara Rydek.
Commander, as you are aware, there are limits to what Captain Solano and I can do in our official capacity as representatives of the Federation. But someone in an unofficial capacity, your first officer, Commander Rydek could ingratiate herself to certain parties behind the scenes, where they may be more candid in revealing information that could lead to a resolution.
She certainly goes her own way. Maybe that helps in this case.
I'm perfectly happy to work outside the lines.
And by extension, you will be doing your duty, Commander.
Just not too far outside the lines. Well, I hope Commander Rydek will have more luck finding out what really happened than we will through official diplomatic channels.
The fate of the negotiations, the interests of the Federation, and the prospect for peace may very well depend on it.
Like I said, nice battle
I
scar.
understand you have already discussed the warp drive failure with Ambassador Spock?
I have.
It is imperative that the Ambassador's shuttle be flight ready. I need you both to ascertain the root cause of the system failures he encountered.
I'm surprised, Commander. I thought you would have wanted to work on Ambassador Spock's shuttle yourself.
I
Why is
respect
that?
the Ambassador and his many accomplishments, but I do not derive any satisfaction from interacting with his shuttle as if it were somehow transubstantiated through its association with him. Especially when I have the entirety of this starship to concern myself with. I am not the chief engineer of this shuttlecraft.
When you look at it logically, yes, it is just a shuttle. No different than any of the others.
There is plenty that is different about it, and that is what you are to investigate. But please limit your findings to observable scientific phenomena.
We'll try to restrain ourselves.
Then I will leave you to it. Make note of any abnormalities in your report. Carry on.
One nice thing about Vulcans. Chovak is the only person who didn't look at this and treat me like I was something to pity.
Yes, like
Doc
that.
says I should get used to it. Doesn't mean I want to be reminded of it every minute of the day.
Hey, you won't get pity from me. I think it makes you look tough. As tough as you really are, that is.
And that makes you sound pretty smart. I might need you to save me from myself next time, though. Come on. Let's get to the bottom of this.
Ready to go?
All set. Let's run the... diagnostic. So... I know about your talk with Miranda.
You do?
She sent me a Priority 1 dispatch right after your conversation. Knowing you two as well as I do, I thought you'd jump at the chance to, take it to the next level. Why'd you tell her you just wanted to be friends? I was surprised to hear that. I mean, we already know you like her.
Because I do think we should just stay friends. I don't want to do anything to mess that up.
Fair enough. I get it. And a direct, honest answer is gonna make it a lot easier to stay friends. Just, when you see her, don't make a big deal of it. And I'll be there to smooth things over.
Right.
Yeah, it's wrapping up. Let's see. The relays along the primary EPS are blown. The backup relays are all intact.
An EPS overload from the warp drive could cause that. But how did the shuttle end up dead in the water?
Huh. Well, maybe the ship's data recorder can tell us something. Here.
They were only about 8 minutes from their plotted warp point. No faults, just those warnings. What are they?
The warp field became inverted suddenly.
I've seen this happen when the center warp coil cracks.
A cracked warp coil throws a fault code.
Still, we should take a look.
There was a complete warp cascade failure.
Wow. They're lucky the shuttle didn't turn inside out.
Makes me think the computer panicked on the warp field equation. Subspace variance out of tolerance. What does that mean?
It means the main navigation array lost sight of space somehow.
Will the array going offline cause that?
Yes, but it should have also thrown a fault code. Any one of these failures should have thrown a fault.
If it was caused by a system failure.
None of this caused the relays to blow. Roll forward to when that happened.
Yes, ma'am.
So here, they take a moment to get their bearings and they attempt to re-engage the warp drive.
There. That's the relays blowing.
And look, there's another warp system alert.
They're all the same. Subspace variants out of tolerance, or warp inversions. Finally, there's a complete warp cascade failure.
Then it's one of two things. Either a warp coil is cracked, or the navigation array is offline.
That makes sense.
Divide and conquer. You want to check the warp coils or the navigation array? I'll check the other. Let's not overcomplicate this. One of these systems is likely broken.
I'll check the nacelles for a cracked coil. I checked every coil on the port nacelle for imbalances. If any coil in either engine were cracked, I would have detected it. So, it must be the navigation array.
Except it's not. Checked and double-checked.
Well, the readings don't lie.
Here comes the security detail for the way team. Hey, going planet side?
Yep, as soon as the negotiating team comes down from the bridge. Apparently we don't get to leave just because I'm ready. Should be an interesting ride down to the surface. I'm not looking for a repeat of whatever went down here.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure that out.
How dare they keep you waiting? Don't they know who you are?
I mean, how hard can this diplomacy stuff be? I'm sure I could handle it myself.
No doubt about it.
Hey, Maris. Aren't these those button pushers you're always hanging out with?
And you're the phaser jockeys we always beat in Parisi squares, right?
All aboard for Hotari.
That another one of the captain's railroad things?
Gotta be. I just usually zone out by the time he gets to the whole, steam engines were the warp drives of their day part. Catch y'all later.
You don't want to miss your train.
I do have to go. Back before you know it, sport. So, I'll catch up with you two then.
Take care of yourself down there, okay? Stay safe.
Always. Don't leave home without it.
went well enough. It'll be fine. All right, where were we?
So, the warp coils in the navigation array are fine, but the nav computer doesn't seem to think so.
I'm out of ideas short of field stripping the shuttle from bow to stern.
You wanna take this out of the shuttle and throw it on the bench?
Oh, real hands-on maintenance. I like it. Okay, the nav computer is patched into the ship.
The ship's computer can double-check our work. If the shuttle's nav computer is putting out false data, we'll know it.
Let's run through the shuttle's logs again.
Running now. Same. Warp field inversion and a cascade failure. However, the Resolute computer doesn't show the same subspace variance.
We're in the same conditions that the shuttle was in when it failed. Why wouldn't the ship's computer get a matching result?
What if the subspace variance was a momentary occurrence?
That's a possibility, and it would explain why the simulation under our current sensor readings failed to reproduce the issue.
But a subspace anomaly strong enough to cause a warp field collapse would leave graviton ripples for days.
Let's run with the momentary subspace variance theory for now. Roll forward to the shuttle's attempt to re-engage the warp drive. We need the conditions of space around the shuttle at the moment of warp failure.
Resuming simulation.
Error in warp field calculation. Cochrane formula variables are out of range.
That right there. Take the shuttle sensor data from that moment.
Computer, why did the warp field calculation fail?
Warp field pressure returned non-orthogonal. Results are undefined.
That doesn't help.
Wait, what if we use a different ship?
Put the Resolute into the simulation instead of the shuttle.
Yeah, it should warp just fine. Unless... Computer, run the simulation with the Resolute.
Resolute simulated.
Computer, give me manual control on the warp power.
Static field intensity, warp 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Warp pressure is destabilized. Error in warp field calculation. The warp drive has experienced a system-wide cascade failure. Warp field collapsed. Subspace variance is out of tolerance. Cochrane formula results are undefined.
Bingo.
What-o?
The same moment when the shuttle failed to warp, so did the ship. Whatever happened to the shuttle just happened to us. The Resolute will not sustain warp.
We can't leave Hotari space.
You can, just not at warp speed.
Ambassador Spock, Captain Solano, welcome to Hotari. We are honored you have come. My name is Tylos Altaris, Minister of Diplomatic Affairs.
The honor is ours, and this is Commander Jara Rydek, first officer aboard the USS Resolute. You'll find she has a keen mind and unique insight into the dynamics between the Hotari and the Lydians.
It's very nice to meet you.
Likewise. I hope...
These must be the representatives of the mighty Federation. The reigning authority in the galaxy. Or so we've been led to believe. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen. But, either way, we're grateful you've made the time to come to our little corner of the universe.
And you are?
This is Galvin, and this is Citron, the heroes of the revolt in the mines.
Let's hope this is the last time we ever have to come here.
If you'll excuse me.
think we're about to begin.
Did you hear the arrogance from that guy? I don't know what we're walking into here, but that guy was something.
That may be true. But let's keep an open mind going into the negotiations. Hopefully he's just one voice amongst many.
Then let's hope he's the outlier.
The Hotari have invited us as their guests, so we must show them the proper respect.
Ambassador Spock, welcome to Holtari Prime.
The honor is mine, Your Majesty.
That the Federation would send one of their most respected representatives is not only an honor to the Hotari people and their queen, but a recognition of our stature and importance.
Let's get on with it, shall we? With all due respect to the Federation and their ambassador, they have no authority here. We are not members of their alliance. We are not subject to their rule, nor yours. We demand the immediate return of all mining operations to Elydian control, as it has been for centuries and will be for centuries more. That has always been our understanding.
That understanding has changed.
Then you invite war!
And if you cannot remain silent, you will be silenced. But his point is well taken. What is the Federation's interest in this matter? Perhaps you would have us trade one oppressor for another?
The Federation remains neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution of this conflict. We are here at your request, Your Majesty.
For now.
I'm trying to keep an open mind here, but it's not easy. I thought they wanted us here.
Was there something you wanted to say, Captain?
Oh, no. My apologies.
And what about the Kobliad?
She's not part...
She can speak for herself, can't she? Then let her. Now then, one should know their place. What you might be somewhere else is not what you are here. Which is standing before a queen. And a queen deserves respect. A bow is not too much to ask. Is Hotari Prime, heart of the Hotari system.
My apologies, Your Majesty. I meant no disrespect.
Better. You are Kobliad. Your people suffered brutal treatment at the hands of the Cardassians. Their injustice towards the Kobliad is as unimaginable as it is unforgivable. Not unlike how we have been treated by the Elydians.
As much as they'd have you believe they are the victims here, remember it was the Hotari who attacked us. Hundreds of innocent Elydians were slaughtered without mercy in those mines.
The blood is on their hands, not ours.
Quiet! If after all the Kobliad suffered, you finally had the chance to right that wrong, to get out from under their control, would you take it? Or would you negotiate a peace?
There is no remedy for what the Kobliad suffered, and I fear who we might have become in pursuit of it. There is no justice if the oppressed become the oppressor. So I would willingly accept a peaceful resolution if it were offered. That is the real opportunity.
You may be right. Unfortunately, that was not the case, was it?
No, it was not.
Peace is often elusive to those who need it most. The Federation is the most powerful, most advanced alliance in the galaxy. It's widely known we have an abundance of dilithium in our mines. And it's in your interest to secure a steady supply.
Your Majesty, if I may.
Ambassador Spock would have us believe you're here as a neutral party in the interest of peace. So why are you really here? I want the truth, not your Federation rhetoric.
It's possible the Federation has an interest in both peace and securing a steady source of dilithium. One does not preclude or prevent the other. But that's just my personal opinion.
Given the Federation has done business with the Elidians for decades, I would agree. It's entirely possible, if not highly likely.
What they haven't said, but cannot deny, is a simple truth. The dilithium trade would not and will no longer exist without Elidian involvement. We created it for the benefit of everyone, especially the Hotari. We've given them warp technology. We've let them share in the profits. We've made their lives infinitely better than before dilithium was discovered. All of that goes away if the Federation turns a blind eye to their treachery.
That is enough of your lies! The Hotari are quite capable of running the mines. We've done so for centuries. So tell me, who deserves control of the dilithium trade and the mines on Tau? Who should the Federation recognize? The Hotari or the Elidians? It can only be one or the other, not both.
If I have to choose only one, then it would have to be the Hotari.
Well said! How could the just and wise Federation make any other choice?
This is an outrage. The Federation has lost all credibility.
The mines are ours. Lydia will not be deterred. We will take back our mines by any means necessary.
And you will see more blood spilled.
I am more than willing to address your concerns, Your Majesty. Yours as well, Representative. But I suggest we could have a more productive conversation with a smaller group. Perhaps only the most essential representatives.
I suppose there is some sense to that. I hope we meet again.
Commander Jara Rydek, Your Majesty.
It's been a pleasure, Commander Rydek.
Spock and I will cover everything on the diplomatic front. You make nice with the locals and see if you can get some answers. We need to find out why the Hotari are so willing to risk war. What happened in those mines?
Soothing.
Commander, I'm glad you've chosen to side with the Hotari. I knew the Federation would see through the Elidians' baseless claims and protect the interests of my people.
Even though the Hotari should have control of the mines, some of the Elidian claims are still valid.
There you're wrong, but we can agree to disagree.
I assume you were there the day the mines were seized from the Elidians.
Not seized. Reclaimed. And restored to their rightful owners. Yes, I was there. We had to be decisive. Before the Elidians could even realize their worst nightmares upon them.
I'm curious why the Elidians haven't fought back. They have the ability to retake the mines anytime they want.
Ability is one thing. Courage is another. The Elidians know any hostile action on their part will not end well. They respect one thing above all else, and that is force. The greater the force, the more certain the outcome. Any talk of making peace is just that, and worth little without the strength to secure it. Which makes me wonder about your ship, the Resolute. Undoubtedly the Federation's finest warship. Ready to contend with anything the Elidians might have in store. Or is that not true? Maybe I've misjudged it.
I wouldn't say state-of-the-art, but the Resolute is plenty capable and can hold its own against just about anything.
Let's hope so. Because at the moment, it's the only thing preventing them from wiping us off the map.
Sidron.
A pleasure meeting you, Commander. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
Commander Rydek, I'm encouraged to see the Federation supporting my people. I'm afraid of what might happen without your help.
If anyone deserves thanks, it's Ambassador Spock. No one is more invested in negotiating a peaceful settlement to this conflict than he is.
I'm so glad. We need his help before the situation escalates further than it already has. It's been very trying. I saw you speaking with Sidron, our national hero. I'm curious, what did he say?
He seems to be of the opinion that negotiating for peace is a waste of time.
Because force is the only blunt instrument he understands. He's a miner, not a diplomat. For the first time in our history, the Hotari have the upper hand. We see ourselves as strong instead of downtrodden. New voices have risen up. Old voices shouted down. Calvin and Sidron have become national heroes. Now, they have the Queen's ear. Better or worse, depending on your perspective.
I get the sense you don't exactly trust them.
I don't trust their instincts, which are leading us to war. My fear has been that the Elidians will launch an attack and crush us. You've seen their starship, no doubt. They could have retaken the mines whenever they wanted to, but it never happened. And as strange as this may sound, I'd almost say they're afraid. I just don't know what they're afraid of. It's still the same bluster and bravado you would expect from them. But it has no teeth. Like they're afraid of what might happen.
Do you think it has something to do with the ion storm? Right now, it's stronger than ever, isn't it?
It's entirely possible. I'm not a scientist, but I do know the storm has knocked out all kinds of systems. So maybe the Elidians weren't willing to risk their ships, given all the interference. Since the day of the revolt, Galvin has seized control of the mines and restricted all access. No one's allowed without his personal authorization. And they've taken over a section of the palace with just as much secrecy and security. I'm told it could be something they brought back from the mines. I've made inquiries, but everyone pretends it doesn't exist. I strongly suspect they're hiding something.
Why would they do that?
I don't know. But that's what concerns me. Whatever they're hiding, it can't be good.
How can we know?
I'd better see what's happening.
Do you think you can find out what they're hiding? I need to see proof of something before I can make my case to the Federation.
I can try, but even if I found it, I might not know what to make of it.
Take this. You can use it to capture whatever you find, and then send it to me.
Thank you. I will let you know what I find. And I look forward to our meeting again.
Sorry, I couldn't help but notice you were speaking with the Hotari this whole time. I figured in the interest of fairness, I should offer another perspective.
Of course.
I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but these negotiations rely on the Federation's neutrality, as does any hope you might have for a supply of dilithium in the future. So, why you would choose to side with the Hotari escapes me. Without Lydian involvement, there is no dilithium trade. Clearly, you weren't aware.
We are and will remain completely neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution to this conflict.
As is ours. Of course, the question is, at what price? Major Salit Arminta, Special Attaché, Lydian Armed Forces. Pleasure to meet you, Commander. I have my issues with the Hotari, but I have to give them some credit. They know how to seize an opportunity. Inciting an uprising the same day as a massive, once-in-a-lifetime ion storm.
Our assumption was that this storm was just an anomaly.
Yes, a very convenient anomaly. At least, that was what we were told. Of course, I wasn't there. But who am I to say otherwise?
Something tells me there's more to the story. So what really happened?
Well, the official story is that it was the storm that enabled the revolt. How else do a bunch of unarmed, unorganized miners seize control of an entire moon, much less thousands of mine? But I've talked to people who were there. They tell a different story. They say they're lucky to have escaped with their lives. That it was more than just the storm. That somehow the miners were able to harness the energy from the storm. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not even sure I believe it myself. But that's what they said.
You said the Hotari were primitive.
Well, they are.
Except for the part about weaponizing ion storms.
If you'll excuse me, Commander Ryder. Well, that was a disaster.
What happened?
The Hotari refused to concede anything, so the Elydians stormed out.
The Hotari did not invite us here as peacekeepers. I hope your efforts were more fruitful than ours.
Gravitational harmonics failing to resolve. Warp bubble stability degrading. Increase output to maximum.
Increasing warp output to maximum.
It's happening again.
It is evident that presently, the Resolute cannot achieve warp propulsion.
Since our diagnostics rule out any problems with our warp systems or anything about the ship, the problem appears to be the fabric of space itself.
Space itself? You're saying something about this region of space prevents warp travel?
Prevents it, or can't sustain it.
However improbable, that appears to be the case.
We need to know more.
Otherwise, it'll be an extended stay in the Hotari system.
Well, couldn't we slowboat it out of here at impulse speed?
It may come to that, but we don't know how far this warp dead zone extends. Captain Solano is on his way back from the negotiations, and I want to have some answers for him when he gets here.
Indeed. Given the facts at hand, we may be able to deploy subspace probes around the ship to construct a clear picture of the...
I got an idea. Might it be the Omega particle? Because if those explode, you won't be able to get a warp field in that area of space ever again. And it does look a bit fractured, so...
I'm setting up a waypoint at a distance roughly corresponding to the edge of our warp field. When we get there, I'll deploy the first probe.
Commander Westbrook, the Resolute systems are calibrated to receive the probe's readings. We are standing by to reproduce the warp field collapse after the first probe is deployed.
Thank you, Mr. Chovak. We'll be in position shortly.
And, Mr. Diaz, do take care in piloting the shuttlecraft. Now is not the time to indulge in the human penchant for joyriding.
Chovak probably isn't such a fun guy to work for, huh?
Lieutenant Commander Chovak's not so bad. You know, once you get used to him. And, I've learned a lot working under him.
I have a feeling I'm going to have to work harder to be a political animal like you, with this new first officer coming aboard. This is far enough.
Where's that giant asteroid gone to? Where that flew through?
Transporting the... Westbrook here. The first probe is deployed.
Understood. We are reading it.
Normally you just fire them, but... Oh well, this is a way to do it as well.
Don't get me wrong. Things are definitely trending up with Commander Rydek. She's put my ideas into action. And she listened to me when your life was on the line out on the hull.
That sounds like a good thing.
It is. But I'm still trying to figure out if she's right for the job. She didn't go through what the rest of us did. Still got chosen to be #1. Can't tell if she was actually siding with me, or if we just fell on the same side.
Well, like it or not, she's the boss. You gotta respect that.
Right. That's just what a good political animal should say. I'll probably be working for you one day, too.
Test is running. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1, mark.
Whoa. All right, is definitely a problem with the
Beautiful.
We need to get another probe out there. With 2 points of data, the Resolute and the probe, we've managed to get an interference pattern. I'm setting a waypoint to a particular...
We'll need at least 3 to triangulate everything.
Deploy the second probe there. Listen, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice I wish someone had given me. Make sure you're never just one thing. And don't get so focused on what's in front of your face that you lose sight of the big picture. Before Rydex showed up, the captain pulled me into his ready room and told me he didn't think I had the people skills to be first officer. What a load of crap. I mean, if he'd said that about Chovak, sure.
Well, if you're asking, I think you're a people person. After all, here we are. Me, an enlisted officer. You, one of the senior staff. Talking like old buddies.
I should send Solano to talk to you.
Bring him on.
I'm sure you can handle him. You've got potential. You're a capable engineer. You're good in the field. Keep up the good work, and who knows? A solid jack of all departments like you could be Commander-in-Chief of Starfleet one day. Hell, Admiral Jellicoe started as a shuttle pilot. And there are places to go in the enlisted ranks, too.
You know, I'd be the best leader Starfleet ever had. Lower decks always have to fix all the problems Command causes. Maybe I'd just save everybody some steps.
Well, don't forget about us little people when you're running things.
Of course not. You gotta remember where you came from.
And here we are.
Here. This is close enough. Stop the engines.
Pas de probleem.
Deploying the probe. Westbrook to Commander Chovak. We're ready for another...
Vamos!
Good. Running the simulation again. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1. On.
There it is again.
I saw it. It seems to be directional.
Well, what about the scans? Anything?
Here's the readings in relation to our local space. We've got the Resolute, Otari Prime, and the probes.
All this interference is overloading the sensor buffers. We're gonna have to triangulate the sensors manually. We got something.
These markers indicate peaks in the gravimetric interference patterns.
Let's see if I can find some more. Hold up. This is coming from the moon.
A beam that blocks warp travel.
Aimed right at us.
Someone is doing this intentionally. I don't know how they're doing it. This is like nothing I've ever seen.
Why would they be doing this? We came here to help these people. And now we're getting hit by some warp-killing weapon?
Now, look here. It's current readings of the ion storm.
These concentrations... they line up with the interference pattern. The storm and this beam, they're coming from the same place.
Carter, whatever petty local conflict brought us here, it's just a small part of something much bigger.
Dun dun dun.
Presently, we don't have an explanation for how they're doing this. One thing is clear. This is no fluke.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook. I want a full briefing when I'm back on board. Solano out. A targeted weapon that inhibits warp travel. Coming from the moon Tau.
That would explain the difficulties my shuttle encountered. More importantly, the tenor of the Hotari during the negotiations.
And here I thought the Illidians would be the problem. Coming to peace talks in a warship. This wasn't supposed to be so complicated.
For all their posturing, every indication is that the Illidians are afraid of the Hotari. They didn't bring their warship as a threat. They brought it because they're scared.
From everything we witnessed, I would say that is highly likely.
But what are they afraid of?
Tylus, the Hotari representative, said she thought they found something in the mines. Galvin and Sidron brought it back to the palace, but they're keeping it under tight security. She's going to investigate it. I gave her my tricorder. I expect she'll contact us soon.
You found an ally.
Why would Tylus help us? Go behind her people's back? It's a fair question, considering.
She's worried that her people are being dragged into something that isn't going to end well for them. She's trying to save them.
That may be true.
She's certainly more likely to help than the other Hotari we've met.
That raises another question. Specifically, what do the other Hotari have to gain in bringing us here, only to make this hostile maneuver against us? There must be some motivation.
Unless they changed their minds between when they asked and when we got here.
Sidron was very curious when we spoke outside the Queen's chamber. He wanted to know all about us, our ship, the Federation. He wasn't giving any answers. He was looking for them.
Well, I'm sure you didn't tell him too much. I don't think the Illidians know what's really down on that moon either.
Major Armintas said the revolt defied explanation. That the Hotari miners somehow harnessed the energy of the storm.
Harness the energy of the storm?
Doing that is beyond even our capabilities.
So is a weapon that disrupts warp travel.
There have been civilizations and entities, both past and present, far more technologically advanced than the Federation.
The Illidians and Hotari don't fall into that category.
But that is all the more reason to investigate further.
Commander Rydek, sorry to interrupt. We've received an urgent call from Hotari. The Queen's advisor, Tylus, has asked to speak with you.
Put her through.
Galvin and Sidron are still with the Queen. I've enlisted help to gain access to the room they have under guard. I don't have much time.
I'm not supposed to leave my post.
It's only for a moment. I so appreciate your help.
I found something. I'm sending you a scan.
Got it. Tylus, if we needed to gain access to the mines on Tau, is that something you could help us with?
I suppose it wouldn't be easy, but I have to go.
Tylus.
Can we reconnect?
Don't even try at this moment.
Lost all contact.
We can only hope she escaped without harm.
It was hard to tell.
I'm the one who got her into this. If something happens to her, it's my fault.
She's one of the Queen's closest advisors. I'm sure she'll be fine. Assuming the Queen isn't part of this. Let's see the scan of whatever the hell that was.
Tylus suspects this came from the mines on Tau.
It appears to be of ancient origin, but the markings are unfamiliar.
And that's with the portals.
But if this came from the mines, that it might be the key to how they got the upper hand against the Lydians.
Then we have to go into the mines.
The Federation would not allow that. We were, after all, sent here to be a neutral party in a peace negotiation. However, we could demonstrate that the Hotari have acted in bad faith, which would enable us to investigate the mines on Tau with full justification. But of course, we would need conclusive proof before taking action. Otherwise, it could put us in a difficult position.
What the Federation doesn't know won't hurt them. If I do it right, nobody will know I was there.
Commander, I'm surprised at you.
We may have a better understanding once we analyze the device. But a mission to the mines, covert or otherwise, is not out of the question. And I will handle the Federation.
As I was telling Carter, I want all the data I can get on this warp problem. And the negotiating team's shuttle has been recording data all the way back from Hotari. Even better than our probes.
The last
So pull the sensor
chapter for now. Sorry about that, but that's it for today. Just this chapter, and then
join you and Chovak down in engineering to run another analysis after the briefing.
I didn't like this warp problem when we thought it was some astronomical anomaly. And I like it a hell of a lot less now that we know someone is doing it to us. How does it work? What do we even do about it?
What do you say we pull these chips and find out?
Took some damage on the way. That ionic interference scored the hull plating. Might be some micro welds. Let's try pulling together.
All right.
3, 2, 1. It won't budge. Gotta be the storm damage. We need to... Welcome back.
Een extra pair of hands.
Excitement? No, nothing like that.
Hey, can you hand me the EJ7 interlock? From the toolbox.
I don't know what that is.
Not much use for one on a security detail, huh? Carter?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Okay, I'll apply pressure while you decouple the panel.
Here, I'll help.
We've got this.
Open up and say
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the hand. We have to get these isolinear chips down to engineering.
No problem. You really know everything about these ships, don't you? The tools, the systems. Like a walking Starfleet technical manual.
Well, I wouldn't say everything, but I know my stuff.
I can see that.
Come on, start pulling chips.
What's this?
Some kind of crystal formation?
Whoa. This substance is a quantized spin crystallization of hydrogen, carbon, and lithium. It's emitting tetrametric pulses at an interval of 3.8422 seconds.
Quantized crystallization isn't natural. I mean, it's only theoretical as a means to engineer matter on a subatomic level. What's it doing in there?
Wait. Regulation 364, subsection 9.
What?
Regulation 364, subsection 9 orders that in the case of an unknown foreign substance infiltrating a sealed system, it will be placed in secure confinement before further examination. Retrieve a containment module.
Don't you think we're more
Thank
equipped
you.
to deal with whatever this is?
No. Before anything else, this is a security issue. You don't even know what this is.
Which is why we need to study it.
Once it's contained.
Just leave it there for now. Messing around with it could be dangerous. At least until we know more.
That's exactly why we need to get it to the containment lab. I can't make an exception. Not even for you two.
I'm still going to report these crystals to Commander Westbrook when we send the shuttle data.
And I will inform my superiors. I'm taking this just as seriously as you are. But I overheard talk about the
As
warp
you should.
disruption on the shuttle. Now these crystals? Maybe this situation is more than we can handle with just a science vessel. We could trigger a distress call, get Starfleet to send more ships. Or I could send a message to my old CO on the Adirondack. Get some combat-tested vessels. We shouldn't do this alone.
Miranda, you gotta be more careful. Someone hears that, they could think you're talking mutiny.
I'm just trying to figure out how we can help. Okay, stand back. Get this to the containment lab. We'll get it set up for you. I'll let you know when it's safely confined.
Oh, we'll be there.
Last thing you want is to study this down in main engineering and have it explode next to the warp core. I just don't
He's got a
take any
point.
chances. Not with my friends.
You and Miranda seem to be back to normal. But she was a little off. I think this whole situation has her spooked. Maybe she knows more than us? Or it's because this is all happening so fast. But she usually doesn't scare easy.
Well, of course she's taking it seriously, but that's her job. If she's on duty, she's gotta be on the lookout for danger.
Yeah, but talking about sending a distress call on her own? That's going too far. She was probably just thinking out loud. I'm sure she'll come to her senses. This mission has enough complications stacking up.
Now, we'll get through it. You, me, and Miranda too.
That is, if she is still Miranda.
Rydick was able to work behind
Yeah,
the
I
scenes
know.
during the negotiations and made
One
contact
more.
with a representative from the Hotari delegation named Tylus. She mentioned an unusual
These chapters go
artifact
faster than I
of
thought.
origin being held under tight security within the Hotari Palace, which she believes came from the mines on Tau. Now, this artifact might have a connection to the revolt, to the storm, and to the warp disruption we now know has been targeted at the Resolute. Commander Rydick, if you want to take it from here.
Of course. Tylus managed to infiltrate the heavily guarded location within the palace and sent us these scans using my tricorder. It appears to be some sort of control panel, possibly connected to the warp disruption weapon originating on Tau. Of particular interest is this symbol, which we couldn't identify the origin of.
The Federation database has records from a vast number of civilizations. If anyone from Starfleet has come across this before, the system should recognize it.
What if it is 100,000 years old?
Displaying symbols from Federation database with a 90% probability of match or higher. Select a symbol to further analyze. 99.2% match.
Got it.
Not the
So,
Takan.
what are we looking at?
The design and composition indicate this is a glyph associated with the ancient Takan Empire. Their civilization collapsed over 600,000 years ago, but once spanned millions of systems with a population numbering in the trillions.
Fascinating. The Takan were once the most advanced, most powerful civilization in the galaxy.
Is it possible the Hotari
If they could
technology?
be sure that nobody could reach warp drive, it's not that difficult.
My knowledge of the Takan is limited. I have only encountered passing references to them.
I can't speculate about how much they know, but one thing's for sure. They know how to use it.
Indeed.
Which might explain how they seized control of the mines.
And targeted us with a weapon that prevents warp travel.
Computer, what is the last recorded discovery of other Takan artifacts?
On stardate 41386,
I knew it.
the USS Enterprise D, under the command of Captain Jean-Luc Picard, discovered a Takan outpost in the Delphi Ardus. According to the mission summary, an unbreakable energy-draining field was deployed against the Enterprise and a Ferengi ship. The Enterprise was only able to escape after negotiating their release with an entity known as Portal 6-3, Guardian of the Takan Empire.
Unbreakable energy draining field. It starts to make sense.
What else is there?
There's a lot here. Let's take it piece by piece.
Select the aspect you wish to learn more about.
There appears to be some sort of restriction order from Starfleet. Computer, explain this restriction.
A Starfleet directive similar to General Order 7 forbids entering the Delphi Ardus system or attempting to make contact with Portal 6-3.
Starfleet doesn't throw up a no trespassing sign for just anybody.
I suppose it makes sense considering what happened to the Enterprise D.
The technology to capture and hold the Federation flagship would have to be unbelievably powerful. Computer, what else can you tell us about the energy-draining field the Takan used?
The Enterprise D was unable to break free on its own. The precise nature of the technology was never fully understood. Only that the crystalline technology used was beyond the comprehension of then-current Starfleet science.
The engineering team found a quantized spin crystal formation in the shuttle you took to Hotari. They registered tetrametric radiation coming from it.
We have Takan technology on board right now?
We might. I'll run a full analysis in the containment lab.
What sort of planet is Delphi Ardu 4?
Delphi Ardu 4 is an M-class planet, a barren rocky world with little to no vegetation and frequent ion storms. The giant crystals that grow there absorb energy.
Ion
It is
again.
not understood how they do so.
And crystals.
The entire Delphi Ardu system, consisting of 11 planets, was considered completely uninhabited until the encounter with Portal 6-3.
Frequent ion storms. That can't just be a coincidence. Someone from the Takan Empire is actually still around.
Or at least was, 16 years ago.
Computer, what other information do you have on Portal 6-3, Guardian of the Takan Empire?
The entity known as Portal 6-3 is of an unknown nature. A biped humanoid, he was unaware that the Takan Empire no longer existed at the time of the encounter. He was able to control the crystal-based technology of the Takan outpost through apparent telepathic means. It was by his choice that the Enterprise was released from the energy-draining field after Commander William T. Riker of the Away Team argued on behalf of both Starfleet and the Ferengi.
Telepathic control of their technology.
As I have said, they were the most advanced civilization in the galaxy.
The Elydians should have crushed the revolt. But if the Hotari have Takan technology and can control it, I see why they're willing to negotiate peace. For all we know, this could be just the beginning. And we're up against something greater than we can imagine.
For now, it's probably best we don't let on how much we know.
Play our cards close to the vest. Smart. I agree. Then when the time is right, we can confront them.
Diplomatically, of course.
Right.
Of
We've been able
course.
to triangulate the source of the ionic interference and warp disruption to a specific mine on Tau. Engineering used the latest data from your shuttle to pinpoint its origin. There.
So we know where to look.
We need to know what's down there. What the Hotari are hiding. To better understand what we're up against. And to neutralize it if we can.
Captain, embarking on a mission to the Hotari moon would not be viewed favorably by either side. However, given the circumstances, we are entirely within our rights to defend ourselves.
I just want to make sure this doesn't blow up in our faces. Which is why I'm thinking of sending Commander Rydek on a covert mission to Tau.
But first let me get an injection.
Assuming you're up to the task. It would require absolute secrecy. And obviously, it's not without risk.
I'm ready for action, Captain. Just say the word and I'll be there.
I'll admit, I wish I could go myself. I'm hoping Tylus can accompany you. The priority is to avoid detection. It's a calculated risk. The last thing we need is to get caught and then blamed for violating our neutrality and aggravating an already tense situation. We can't afford any mistakes, which is why I've chosen you.
Tylus will be essential to my success. Not only her knowledge of the mines, but her ability to gain access, particularly now that we know which mine we need to get into.
Make sure she understands the need to keep this covert.
She's not going to want her people to know about this.
Get in touch with Tylus and make the necessary arrangements as discreetly as possible.
Bridge to Captain Solano. The Illidians have moved additional ships to the edge of the Hotari system. Current heading is straight for the homeworld.
Understood.
It would seem we no longer have the luxury of waiting. In that case, may I suggest you and I return to Hotari Prime? Doing so will provide Commander Rydek as much time as possible to complete her mission.
Agreed. We'll hail the Queen's delegation from my ready room. We all know what we need to do. Dismissed.
And this really is it. Once it saves, I'll end the stream. Well, I hope you enjoyed it and have a pleasant rest of your day. And I'll see you next time, hopefully.
Petty Officer